What is up, YouTube? My name is Armon, and I'm starting this channel called Technoloty. Technology and T, I like both of them, and that's like the first thing that came up to my head, so I'm just gonna roll with it. I'm doing this first video as part of a YouTube challenge hosted by Think Media, and every day we kind of have a different challenge. Today's the first day that we're going to be doing a challenge that we're actually making a video. I have kind of left this until about 10:51 p.m. the day it's due, but I've had finals all day today, and I'm just trying to get this challenge done. But I still want to make something really cool and something that actually applies all the techniques that we've been learning about. So that being said, today's video is actually not about the challenge, but it's actually about the iPad Pro. I've been using the iPad Pro for about 2 years now and have kind of changed my whole workflow when it comes to school and doing homework. I'm an engineering student, so I've kind of been able to utilize the iPad to do all sorts of cool things that kind of help speed up notes while I'm in class, especially when teachers are just kind of flashing through all the PowerPoints. So let's get into it. I'll show you some of the apps I use for note taking and kind of what apps I utilize on a daily basis that kind of help me function when I'm taking notes during class. All right, let's get into it. Okay, so now we're on my iPad. I'm gonna go ahead and show basically some of the most useful apps I have and kind of what apps I use for school and how I use those apps for school. I got my mouse hooked up to my iPad, and that way you guys can kind of see where I would be touching normally. So down here in the dock, I have kind of my most frequently used apps, and also I put a lot of apps in my folders. So these are pretty much the standard apps you'll see for the most part. The first one as my calendar, I have Calendar 5. It's on the App Store. My messages, my email, I use Spark. And then my homework, which is really useful for keeping track of your homework assignments and everything like that. I have a couple different systems I use. Like this final I took today, so I can go ahead and mark complete. Usually I would just swipe, but I'm using my mouse today. And this one as well. And this final is due tomorrow at 3. So I'll be working on that as soon as I get off. Okay, so next app, files, you would know. Safari I use as the main web browser. It has desktop integration for pulling up websites, so I found it to be the best one. Google Chrome is really cool, but I think Safari works better now that it has desktop browsing. Then my Photos app, Notes app, then this is my Notes app that I would use for school settings, and then my first folder. I called it Productivity, but it has basically the Office suite in here, some PDF stuff, this calculator app, which is really useful to have if you just kind of bring it over in the window and have it right here. Usually while I'm taking notes, if I need to calculate something, I'll calculate it in here really quick, or if it's kind of more heavy duty, then I would use my actual graphing calculator. And then just some other Office suites, and I put Google Chrome in here. And then next one is my school tab, which is kind of all other school apps I would use. I'm an engineering student, so I have some apps related to engineering. I have AutoCAD. I haven't used this one too much, but I haven't found you being able to do much. You can just pull up kind of your AutoCAD drawings that you have on the computer. Onshape and Shaper 3D are kind of like SolidWorks. OneLab was a finite element app that I have. Didn't get to use it much. Check Study, I think everyone knows. Wolfram Alpha, really cool tool. Fusion 360, another app that's owned by the same people that make AutoCAD. I haven't used this one much either. Haven't gotten the chance because my classes don't require it right now. Then MATLAB, if you're an engineering student, I think you know what MATLAB is. But basically, we'll see if I can load up in here. This one's pretty cool because you can save your codes to the cloud and then kind of work on them right here. So I have some that I've used. Okay, and then Udemy, online courses. SoloLearn is a coding app. It kind of helps you learn how to code. I haven't gotten a chance to use it during the semester, but this is my plan for the summer to kind of learn the coding language to kind of add some more things on my resume, essentially. GoodNotes is another note-taking app, which is really good, but I like Notability way more than this app, and I'll kind of show you why later. And then some other useful apps right here: Quizlet, Bookshelf, and Kindle. These are for ebooks, e-textbooks, I should say. And then the next screen over, just the Apple Books. Then right here is my Creative tab. I like kind of messing around with Photoshop. This is kind of the Apple, sorry, not Apple. This is the, and then this is my Creative tab. I have Affinity Photo, which is basically Photoshop, but kind of more useful than the actual Photoshop that they released on the iPad, at least right now. Designer is kind of like Adobe Illustrator. Vectorinator, same thing. Procreate, kind of a drawing app, really cool to mess around with. Typorama, this one's actually really cool. You can make thumbnails for YouTube, add some cool text to your post for Instagram, and I would recommend it. It's, I think, $5 for the pro version of it, but I think it's well worth it. It has some issues with it, but I guess that could be another video. And you can look into this as like an alternative to Canva or something. I don't think it has a monthly subscription. Then YouTube Studio, LumaFusion. This is kind of the most powerful video editing app you can get on the iPad. Then this was just kind of something that I bought with it. I don't know if you needed it or not, but I just bought it. Lightroom for photo editing. Photoshop, same thing. Adobe Fresco, I don't know what that is. I just downloaded it. Retouch deletes things. Canva I don't even use. I forgot what that is. And then Premiere Rush. I'll show you LumaFusion really quick. So this is basically a timeline for a TikTok video that I made. Or I don't think I've made it. I don't think I posted it yet. But with this, I basically just have a time lapse of a screen recording that I had to export a few times and bring it back into LumaFusion because they only let you speed it up to a certain amount. But I needed to do probably 900 times, something like that, something crazy. And then just some overlays and some music. You can kind of mess around with it, have some fun. Really cool. Alright, so let's talk about the app I use for notes. Notability. So I have it organized over here. You can have different subjects and tabs for your subjects. So I go to Cal State Long Beach and I'm in my spring 2020 semester. So I have some different classes here. This class I dropped, that's why there's a D there, but I took some notes that I want to hold on to. Then I have, these are all my engineering courses from this semester. Let's look at power plant design, mainly because I use this, it did a lot of drawings in this one. So for example here, this is a cogeneration power plant design right here, kind of like a basic system. So what I do is, if I'm writing in class, I draw a lot of diagrams usually for mechanical engineering. So if I want to draw a box, one thing that's really cool is I can just draw a box and then hold it. Actually didn't work right now, but there we go. So right there, which is really cool, kind of speeds up things as far as making it look neat. Then right here, there's like a graph. I use a lot of the straight lines to make it, so you can just draw and hold, and then draw and hold, and it'll bring up your, it'll kind of straighten out the line for you to make it a little bit easier. And then, let's look at one of my other classes for fluid dynamics. Alright, and let's look for another class, some notes I took. So this class was kind of more fast-paced, but I did some diagrams. It's called Dynamic Systems, so usually have a lot of drawings in this one as well. Right here, we'll take a look at a is your spring in series, so a little bit notes I took. Basically, it's just really fast to draw these things, and on the iPad, it's kind of I have a glass screen protector, so it's smooth, so it kind of just glides a little bit better than a pencil, and I don't have to keep pressing it to have more lead come out, or if I mess up, I can easily erase it without having erase marks, which is really cool. The other app for notes that I've used before is called GoodNotes. This one is alright, but I don't like it as much. I usually use it as like a side note at take a nap if I'm doing something. Like this one was for one of my exams for fluid mechanics. So let's see. So this basically I was working out an example, and I tried to do in like this black and white thing, black and white theme to try to make it a little bit more appealing to my eye and for it to stand out a little bit more. So basically, like right here we have a curved submerged surface. The curvature part is kind of harder to draw on an iPad, but everything else is kind of quick, especially with erasing. And the best part is, like, let's say the teacher writes something, you don't have any space, you can just highlight something and then move it around however you want, which is really cool. And that helps out a lot too, especially with saving time, because professors sometimes just mess up and you have to kind of go back and rewrite things, or you're running out of space and you have to kind of cram it somewhere else. So that's it for that. Okay, so another cool app that I have that I use at school is Splashtop. So before, when I didn't have a laptop with me at school and I just carried around my iPad and I had my desktop at home, and I knew I was going to need my computer, like an actual laptop that day, I would leave my computer on at home, and I would use Splashtop. So I can basically access my computer from here, which is really cool because it'll kind of just bring it up on here. You can have different dimensions for the screen, but I kind of like the normal way it gives me my controls down here, which is a little bit easier and nicer to use. Let's see how I have the mouse set up. Okay, cool. So I can come in here and let's open up MATLAB over here. It's going to take a little bit to load. Like, okay, now that I have MATLAB loaded up, I can open up all my commands on here and kind of type things out as they would, as I normally would. And then right here, when you come in, then I can just type in something like hello world. Only issue I've seen is if I want to have like an apostrophe, it's not how it would be on like a normal computer, so this program doesn't read it, but besides that, everything else pretty much works fine. See if I can close the app. Nope. No changes there. But yeah, that's like a really cool app that I can use. Okay, so that's going to wrap up the video. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like, give it a subscribe. Let me know in the comments what you thought of the video, and if you're coming over from the challenge, say hello. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you.